We'll never have the chance to talk to her again. We'll never have the chance to spend any time. Her children will never be able to see her again. It's hard. It's hard.
If you're hearing this, please let us know. Let someone know where she is. It's been 5 days now. Her children needs her. We miss her. We love her.
Elaine, what has your experience with him been like previously? Is this
to charge Corey Hill with Shakeira's murder. So I'm saying that he is the suspect. We're not looking for anyone else. He will be charged with the murder.
And I just heard gun, fires flying. And I felt two of them like glance past my face.
A mother of 4 leaves her house on a Saturday night. She's with her estranged husband. She tells no one where she's going. She never comes home. Her name was Shakeira Rucker, 37 years old, a devoted mom from Winter Springs, Florida. Her family told police they last saw her leaving home with her estranged husband, Corey Hill, on the evening of November 11th. The next morning, while her family was still searching for her, a woman 1 county over heard a car pull into her driveway. It was Hill, and within seconds, he was firing a gun into her home. A week later, deputies followed a smell-to storage unit in Apopka. What they found inside would confirm every fear Shakeira's family had. This is a story about a marriage that was unraveling, a secret relationship neither woman knew about, and a man with a violent past he never mentioned to the woman he married. It's a story about how close a second victim came to being added to this case. And it's a story that, more than 2 years later, is still waiting for its ending in a courtroom. Here's exactly what happened, and exactly what's been proven so far. Before we continue, if you follow ongoing true crime cases like this one, subscribe now, because we'll be covering the trial the moment it's scheduled. Shakeira Rucker was, by every account from the people who loved her, the center of her family. Before her death, she was a devoted mother of 4 who lived in Winter Springs, Florida, known in her community for cherishing her family and her faith. Friends said she rarely missed church. Her kids ranged from just 7 years old to 18, a full house, a full life built around them. Those closest to her said Shakeira worked hard to give her children stability, even as things at home were falling apart. She and Corey Hill had married years earlier, after Hill relocated to Florida. By 2023, though their relationship had deteriorated, friends later told reporters Shakeira had discovered Hill was involved with another woman, and that discovery had created serious tension between them in the months before she disappeared. What her family didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Hill was carrying a violent secret from decades earlier, one that would only come out after Shakeira was already gone. Her sister Dedra later stood in front of cameras and said what so many families in this position eventually have to say, that they'll never get the chance to talk to her again, that her children will grow up without her. Her mother, Elaine, said publicly that the family had no idea Shakeira might have been living with abuse, and that she hoped speaking out could help someone else recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Shakeira Rucker didn't know, when she left her house that Saturday night, that it would be the last time her children saw her alive. Saturday, November 11th, 2023. Around 7:30 in the evening, Shakeira left her Winter Springs home with Corey Hill. Her children told police they watched her go, headed toward what police would later describe only as an unknown destination. Hours later, surveillance cameras caught the two of them roughly 50 miles away, at a retail store and a restaurant in Davenport, in Polk County. They were still together. Nothing on camera looked like a crisis unfolding. Then, in the early hours of Sunday morning, the story turns. Just after 6:30 a.m., surveillance footage allegedly showed a car matching Hill's vehicle pulling into a self-storage facility in Apopka. 2 people inside matched the descriptions of Hill and Rucker. Investigators say Hill can be seen entering his code to open his unit. About 20 minutes later, that same footage allegedly shows him leaving, alone. Around 6:45 that morning, Shakeira's family says they received a text message, apparently from her phone, saying she was on her way home. She never arrived. When the family couldn't reach her and grew worried, they called Hill directly. According to police, he told them he wasn't with her. By Sunday, Shakeira's family had reported her missing to the Winter Springs Police Department. What followed was a search that stretched across 4 central Florida counties, involving multiple law enforcement agencies working around the clock, driven by a family that refused to accept silence as an answer. But while that search was just beginning, something else was already happening less than an hour away, something that would change the direction of this entire case before Shakeira was even found. If you're just tuning in, here's where things stand. A mother vanished after leaving with her estranged husband. Within a day, that same man allegedly opened fire on another woman across the county, and a week later, deputies would find something that connected both crime scenes together. Stay with us, because it only gets more disturbing from here. If this story has you hooked, go ahead and subscribe so you catch every update on this case. Corey Hill was 51 years old, married to Shakeira, and as investigators would soon discover, quietly involved with another woman the whole time. That woman, identified publicly as Angel Milligan, had been dating Hill for months. According to investigators, she had no idea he was married. Shakeira didn't know about her either. Neither woman knew about the other until the truth came out, and once it did, Milligan ended the relationship. The timing matters, because on the very morning after Shakeira vanished, Hill allegedly drove straight to Milligan's home in Kissimmee. Just after 10 a.m. that Sunday, Milligan was standing outside with her cousin and her 2 children when she noticed Hill's car. According to the arrest affidavit, Hill got out and opened fire, shooting toward her and her family. Milligan and her family ran inside. She told deputies she heard what she believed was a bullet fly close by her ear. Investigators say Hill then broke through a kitchen window to get into the house, made his way toward a bedroom where Milligan's cousin was hiding with the children, and forced his way in. Milligan and her family survived. Nobody was struck by gunfire. Deputies later recovered several fired 9mm shell casings at the scene, along with home surveillance footage that reportedly showed Hill inside the house holding a weapon. Hill was arrested that same day, charged with 4 counts of attempted murder and held without bond, which meant that by the time Shakeira's body was eventually found, the man investigators would name as their prime suspect was already behind bars. Here's where the case takes its darkest turn. This wasn't Hill's first time being convicted of taking a life. More than 30 years earlier, in December of 1992, a then 20-year-old Corey Hill shot and killed an 18-year-old man in Suffolk, Virginia. According to court records, Hill believed the teen had stolen his car. With his young daughter still inside weeks before, he confronted the teen at his home and shot him multiple times. A jury convicted Hill of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was released years later and eventually relocated to Florida, where he met and married Shakeira Rucker. By his family's own account, none of them knew about that history. Shakeira Rucker later said Hill was supposed to be a man of faith in their church, and that his past came as a total shock to them. So what was the motive prosecutors would eventually lay out? A marriage collapsing under the weight of infidelity, a secret relationship that had just been exposed, and, investigators allege, a man unwilling to let either woman walk away without consequence. For a week, Shakeira Rucker's whereabouts remained a mystery, even with her husband already behind bars. Then, on November 18th, an employee at the Apopka storage facility called authorities about a smell coming from one of the units, a smell investigators would later describe, in official reports, as consistent with human decomposition. That unit was registered to Corey Hill. When deputies opened it, they found Shakeira's body concealed behind a stack of tires. The Orange County Sheriff confirmed she had died from gunshot wounds. Detectives recovered 4 spent shell casings at the scene, including one found in her hair, along with blood on the walls and floor of the unit. Then came the detail that turned this from 2 separate violent incidents into one connected case. Forensic analysts compared the shell casings recovered from the storage unit to the casings recovered from the shooting at Angel Milligan's home. They matched. Investigators also said Hill's vehicle had been placed at both locations. In other words, according to detectives, the same gun, in the same set of hours, was allegedly used first inside that storage unit, and then at a second home less than a day later. The sheriff was blunt when speaking publicly about the storage unit being registered to Hill, saying it made no sense for someone not to expect that unit would eventually be searched, calling the outcome deeply disappointing. Angel Milligan, for her part, has said publicly that she had no knowledge of Hill's violent history and that she has struggled since with the reality of how close she and her family came to becoming part of this case's body count, rather than its witnesses. In January of 2024, an Orange County grand jury returned an indictment against Hill on 9 total charges, including first-degree murder, a capital offense. State Attorney Andrew Bain announced his office would pursue the death penalty, citing 2 specific factors: what he called the cold, calculating method of the killing, and Hill's prior violent conviction from more than 3 decades earlier. So where does this case stand today? Corey Hill remains in custody, held without bond, facing first-degree murder charges in Shakeira's death, along with 4 counts of attempted murder in the shooting at Angel Milligan's home. As of the most recent public reporting, he has not yet gone to trial, and no trial date has been publicly confirmed. Prosecutors have formally filed notice that they intend to seek the death penalty if he's convicted. For Shakeira's family, the wait has been its own kind of sentence. Her brother, Clarence Thornton, has spoken at multiple public events, telling reporters that this fight is only beginning and that accountability is coming no matter how long it takes. Her mother has said clearly that anything short of the maximum penalty won't feel like justice for what was taken from her daughter's children. The family hasn't just waited for the courts. They channeled their grief into action, launching the For My Sister Foundation, a non-profit created in Shakeira's memory. According to the organization, its mission is to support domestic violence survivors and build resources, including safe housing, for people trying to escape situations like the one Shakeira may never have known she was truly in. The community response has been significant. Vigils were held within days of her body being found. Local outlets have followed nearly every hearing. And true crime audiences online have kept this case visible in a way that families say genuinely helps keep pressure on the legal process. It's important to say plainly because it matters. Corey Hill has been charged, not convicted. He is legally presumed innocent unless and until a jury decides otherwise. The evidence laid out by investigators, the surveillance footage, the shell casing matches, the storage unit registration, is what prosecutors will have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in court. That trial hasn't happened yet. What isn't in dispute is what this family lost. 4 children are growing up without their mother. A community lost a woman remembered for her faith and her devotion to her kids, and a second family narrowly avoided becoming victims themselves. So we want to know what you think. Do you believe the evidence gathered so far tells the full story of what happened inside that storage unit? And when this case finally reaches trial, do you believe Shakeira's family will get the justice they've been asking for since November of 2023? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to be notified the moment there's an update on this case, subscribe and turn on notifications. Shakeira Rucker was 37 years old. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and by every account, a woman who loved fiercely and completely. Her children deserved to grow up with her. Rest in peace, Shakeira.